So the big question on my mind
Yeah.
is, why is global warming happening?
I have no idea.
I've got one theory, Wayne.
Go on, I want to hear the theory.
I think it's because you left the heating on. We're doing it all the time.
Yeah, you did say turn the heating off, and I just...
I think you can have polar bears with it, Wayne, it's just not on.
Well, I don't think you can place all the blame on me.
Alright.
Think about this.
Okay.
The sun gives light, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, light is bright and hurts your eyes.
Uh-huh.
So we should be wearing a hat.
You're right, you're right.
You see,
I feel so much better now.
Yeah, see,
That's
the
not
light
my
isn't
eye.
hurting us, and it's...
Okay, look at the light, go and look at it. Can't see it, mate.
I can't see it.
Then wear a
I
hat.
can't see it.
Well, hats are great then. That's... Well done you.
We should always wear hats in
We should.
biology.
We should.
Okay.
We said we should, but we forgot. Life. I feel better now.
So, climate change, we did how do we know it's happening, or how do we know it might be happening?
Mhm.
Now, why might it be happening?
Well, there's a few reasons.
There is indeed. You've done a few of them at GCSE.
Yeah.
We have an atmosphere, this is Earth by the way,
Yeah.
we have an
Nice
atmosphere about 100 kilometres high, it goes all the way around, and as you know, the sun heats us up. If we didn't have an atmosphere, we'd get pretty hot in the day and really cold at night. It wouldn't be sustainable for us, it would be literally minus 40, 50 degrees at night.
That'd be really bad. So what happens is heat goes in,
It does.
most of it goes in,
Infrared
and-
radiation and UV.
a lot of it leaves, but not all of it. The atmosphere holds a reasonable amount in, so it doesn't get too cold.
So it bounces back out. Then some of it hits the atmosphere and
And
bounces back in.
That's how it keeps it.
Keeps it warm, it insulates it.
Yeah,
So-
and this thing here is called the greenhouse layer. What's happening there? But what's been happening is it's been getting thicker, so more is being kept in.
Which means we're going to be getting hotter and hotter if less is escaping. So escaping is what cools us down,
Mm-hmm.
so that we don't get too hot. If it's not escaping, it's going to get hotter and hotter. You might have heard of it, the greenhouse effect.
And that's what it is.
Yep. If you stand all day in a greenhouse,
You get really bloody toasty.
and it's because the stuff can't escape. But what's the stuff that's stopping the stuff escape?
Well, there's a few things. CO2 is one of them. It's what's called a greenhouse gas. Cotton.
Cotton?
And there's chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs.
CFCs.
Now they're not very friendly.
And not. There's nitrous oxide.
Yeah, just all oxides, nitrogen. There's a few. I think only two actually, but they're both bad.
No, there's NO, NO2 and NO3.
Ah, NO3 as well. I thought NO3 was okay.
Might be. I think it's still a greenhouse gas though.
Right.
It still does the same thing, I think. And then there's methane.
Yeah, which is also bad, but we can't really control that unless we eat all the burgers that there are.
That'll be sad though, so then there'll be no more burgers.
Yeah, and that's just not good, is it?
It's not.
Got a duty to preserve burgers for the future generations.
We'll get on there.
Alright.
So, of these things, CO2 is the one you've probably heard of. It's always in the media.
Yeah, and they say it's really bad. It is quite bad.
It's got these have a global warming potential, which is
Mhm.
how you relatively to each other combine how bad they are.
Yeah.
And
So-
CO2 is one.
Just-
Stuff like oxygen and argon, nitrogen, not nitrous oxides, just nitrogen. Negligible.
Yeah. Negligible.
No.
That one.
They're zero. They're not a greenhouse gas because not all gases are greenhouse gases.
Okay, so what are chlorofluorocarbons then?
Huge. You're talking sort of the 4,000s. They're massive relative to this.
They're not very good then.
They're not good at all. Methane, let's call it 80, and this one about 200. These are approximate numbers, but they're roughly, you can see, that's the order it goes in and how bad they are
Mm-hmm.
as being a greenhouse gas.
So CO2's been around forever. There is more of it now, but
There is.
not as much as there have been. There's been some all the time. But these two, they weren't really around before us.
CFCs were not around at all as far as we're aware. Zero of it. It's not a natural product of things.
We synthesise it.
And, well, where do you get it from? You just know where you get all of these things from. That was in refrigerators. as
Yeah,
well.
it was really cool for lots of things, but it doesn't react and gets higher and higher and higher, and then it reacts with lots of things and it's bad.
It ruins the ozone layer, which blocks out UV. That's not the same problem as
It's
the
not.
greenhouse effect. Common misconception. But it is a greenhouse gas.
It does both.
So it's absolutely terrible.
Bad CFCs, no. The nitrous
We
oxides.
now don't use these, just
Yeah.
in case you're not aware
They're
you should be,
banned by the United Nations, but some countries still use them.
which is a problem.
Nitrous oxides, you get them from cars, including combustion.
Yeah.
But
Catalytic converters are now fitted to all standard cars. they try to get rid of at least most of the nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
So this number, well, that number's going to stay the same. The amount released is slowly decreasing
Yeah.
because of these catalytic converters.
But all of these things are long-lasting in the atmosphere. They don't really go down for a long time.
Yes, so that'll be another column we'll do in just a second.
Oh, all right. And then finally, methane, cows.
Cows' farts sounds like a very childish answer, but no, that's an answer they would look for in an exam.
Yeah, not just cows, but cows are pretty bad.
Yeah, stuff like that. And there's a lot of methane naturally. There's methane bubbles in ice, and if that
Yeah,
ice
I'm
melts,
sure.
huge amounts of methane will be released.
Mm.
So, although this has a 1 of 1, CO2 lasts ages. I'm going to just 250 years, I think.
Longer than any of the others.
And then the rest of them just last an amount of time, less than that.
Yeah.
CFC's quite a while because they form special reactions with ozone, so they keep regenerating themselves for a
Yeah.
very long time. And if you do chemistry, it will take a while for them to. They eliminate themselves essentially,
Mm-hmm.
so that takes a while.
And you'll know about that from the heads.
Nitrous oxides, I think, is less than that. Methane is more than those two, I think. But
Yeah,
they're
these
quite
are
a
all
while.
the reasons why the world's getting a bit too hot to handle.
It is indeed. But it's a controversial issue, this CO2.
And
That's
this
the
is
next
when,
thing we need to get
our
on to.
fluffy biology comes in. It's not really biology, but it's biological issues, so we have to talk about it.
And its discussion. So firstly, what does a controversial issue mean?
Well, the controversial issue is when both sides have a valid point.
Yes.
It's not just like, why should we get rid of all kittens? Because we shouldn't, they're kittens.
You can't really hold a logical argument that many people would be for about getting rid of every kitten.
However, there are a lot of people who think global warming isn't a human-made problem, and many that think that it is. And this is a controversial issue for that reason.
So the reasons for CO2 being a problem is when CO2 is released, people can observe via chemistry and stuff what it does as a greenhouse gas, why it, if you fire infrared at it in a controlled area, you can see what it's sort of doing.
Yeah.
And so you can sort of show and argue logically that CO2 can be a greenhouse gas. It does the stuff these things do.
The argument against is, one, it's always been here, and heat fluctuations, temperature of the planet has been changing forever, and humans haven't got the power to change it by themselves.
It was in fact hotter than now, because now it's going through a hot phase.
Yeah, in a medieval warm period, I think it's called.
Yeah, something like that. It was actually much hotter, and CO2 was released naturally then. There was no cars, and so it's cars that are being blamed mostly for this release of CO2. So that's an argument against it. Plus, this climate change we're going through now actually started slightly before the industrial hit with all the cars and stuff.
Yeah.
So no extra CO2 was being released at that point.
So there's lots of arguments for and against that.
There's a few ethical things that could come in as well that should be mentioned.
Yeah, and this is when my odd duty joke that you wouldn't have got sort of came from. So we have a duty of care as a species and a generation to make the planet lovely for the next generation.
It's a duty we all have in an ethical argument.
Yeah. So you can't just dump your rubbish in the sea because you'll be dead before it affects anyone, because you will be alive.
Stuff like that. Everyone has a duty and the right to clean up their act.
Everyone has a right to a nice life with all your lovely luxuries, but at the same time, they're not all good for stuff.
So yeah, this is why it's happening,
Mm.
and how it's happening. Now, how can we predict if it's still going to be happening in the future?
Well, I'm going to flip a coin, Wayne. I think that's the best way. Have you got a coin?
I know. We should go buy some.
Alright. Hey, what?